This conference will now be recorded.
Hey Venkat, this is Amul only.
Hey,
They
Amal.
gave me new ID. Yeah.
Oh, okay, great. Sure. I'm sharing my screen. Let me know when you guys can see it.
Yeah, I can see.
Okay. Yeah. So we have spent spending a lot of a couple of days on our model configuration. We have sorry, we have covered almost like 80% of the configuration elements that we have. We have seen different. We have seen normal key figure and how we write different calculations to it and the aggregations, whether it is edit allowed or not, how to store a planning note for a key figure. And today we're going to see something called as a fixing the key figure values. So we have seen all that, and apart from that, we have seen an alert key figure which can have a 1 and 0, and you use this 1 and 0 to highlight the key figure that you want to color code or give a different format in the Excel planning view, or you can use this in the front end custom alerts app, or it depends upon the way that you want to use this. So alert key figure will give you 1 and 0. So yesterday we're talking about the attribute transformation, like if there is any alert we want to transform a attribute value, for example a resource to a bottleneck resource or not a bottleneck resource, so dynamically using combining the alert key figure functionality with the attribute transformation, so we can achieve that scenario. Again, attribute transformation, we can do, we can transform any attribute, including the type profile attribute, that is a period ID. So period ID signifies all the weeks and the days and months and quarters and years. So if you want to shift, do an offset of a future 52 periods, then you can use this and rotate. The use case we have seen is that if I want to see my last year's plan onto the current year's time buckets so that I can compare them side by side, then we can use attribute transformations. There's a snapshot key figure. Um, Again, create an operator. It will ask how many snapshots you want to take. Run that operator. It would create a snapshot of that value in this one. There's a helper key figure which you use to break down a large calculation into smaller chunks, and if there is any reusable calculation, like if a calculation is getting repeated across your key figures, then create a helper key figure and then you use it. And then here there is an attribute as a key figure. So this is where a static value from your master data can actually become a key figure itself. We have seen a lot of examples, and a typical example would be the unit price and the stuff that is coming from S4 system, or it could be a manual load. It's a static value, a single value, but it would be copied across the horizon based on the config you do. So today we're going to touch on the concept of versions and then key figure fixing. So versions are used to manage alternate plans. This is a single thing. You use versions to create alternate plans, or let's go back to stuff and then start configuring it. So here, okay, again, remember there is this thing. And if you guys have observed, see, we are following this approach, right? We're first defining like whatever changes we want to do. First, we're going to do a change, and then we're going to activate, and then we're going to import that value, and then you're going to use that value. So this is this cycle we're following, like from last, you know, 4 or 5 days, I think. So whatever, if it's a key figure change or anything, we're first going and defining that, and then activating, importing, using. So here we did some attributes. We assigned to a master data, activated the master data. Again, we further extended them to a planning area. And once the master data becomes a planning area master data, like you can use that to create a planning level and also use time this thing. Once you create a planning level, uh, uh, you can use that to create a key figure. For example, the key figures we created is like minimum capacity threshold. Okay, minimum capacity required. Okay. So minimum capacity required, you need a location, you need a resource. We created those master data, made them as a planning area master data, extended them to a planning level, and use also a time dimension. If it is a week or a day or a month, and then create a key figure. So once this key figure you create, minimum capacity required. So we are using something called as a 120 hours is your minimum capacity. So, but this key figure can also hold multiple values for the same time bucket. Let's say this is for week one. So this is a base version, and then you can create another version, like let's say upside version. So by default, SAP gives you two versions: upside version and downside version. Like to, I mean, the logical, the definition of this would be upside version is a best case scenarios, like more optimistic. Downside is most pessimistic approach, business planning approach, and the baseline is your base plan. So upside you can have like the best case scenario. So you say that okay, now my minimum is like if I want a minimum of 140 hours, and I'll compare it with my final available capacity, and then I'll see how many alerts now are coming, and etc etc. So basically the versions can have a different plan for itself. That's number one. And number two is the versions can also have its own master data. Okay, so we call that as a version specific master data. Hmm? So now let's create a version. So versions are already there. So there's this button called versions here. Go and click on version. Again, version for what? Planning area. So you see there is this planning area AKB 100. So here there is the version called SLB VER. Don't know what that is. Yeah, so you can create your own version. You can create a version for your AOP plan, annual operating plan. You can create another version for something else, so that it's kind of a becomes a different data set. Okay, this is test config to our planning area, and then there are two versions: downside and upside.
So, Venkat,
Mm-hmm.
so when you activate your planning area,
Mm-hmm.
do these versions get assigned to that one, or I mean, we have
Yes,
to
boss.
assign? Okay,
No, the
automatically.
yeah. There's a standard config. The standard config comes in hand. The moment you remember when we took a copy of SAP IBP, so that
Mhm,
has a standard config. So for example, you see actuals quantity.
mhm.
That means how much is actually been transferred from a location to a customer. So so that is a baseline key figure. That means it will not have any another value for another version, obviously, right? So all the actuals will not have multiple values, but whereas a plan can have multiple values. So if you see like all this like hmm, there are like standard key figures that comes in adjusted, production, adjusted. So wherever there is an adjusted, so you can mark that as a version specific key figure, so that it can hold multiple values for that. Okay,
Okay,
so
so
let
these
Mhm.
so these versions are planning area specific, right?
Yeah. Yes.
Okay. Do you have to manually go and assign that version to planning area, or I mean,
No,
it
it
happens
yeah
automatically?
it would automatically come. So the upside and downside is there. But if you want to create a new version, you can create a new version.
Okay, okay. That's
Mm. So now, so I'll reuse the existing version called downside. So I'll give like let's go to upside. So I'll think of a name. Mm, Something like aggregate planning. So you do some aggregate planning, like you're doing at a very high level, and you say this upside is also like the technical name is upside, but the name. So I can also create a new version, but yeah, anyway, I'm just going with this. So version specific master data, I toggle this on, and so I can select all key figures. Seems somewhat inactive. Okay. Anyway, so yeah, selected all. So, or I can pick up. I can become choosy, and then can select the stuff that I want. I'm saving it. So that's it. Now also let me show you something called enable fixing. Come on. So there is a key figure called as overtime required. So this is where we specify that if you need any overtime or not. So here I'll say that this is enable fixing. That means it would fix the value. I think this functionality is there in APO. So you click on a one cell, right click and say that fix this value, and if you fix it, it would be fixed. Yeah, I'm just saving it. Okay, and activating it. So while this is activating, there's some theory on versions. So So what is the procedure that we have to first follow? So identify the version. Okay, let me just tell an example. So see, I have in my implementation, I don't know whether it's utility company and um, mm, production facility where the water happens. Sometimes they have multiple pipes. Sometimes they want to come up a big pipe.
Hey, Venkat, hello. Your voice is breaking, Venkat. I'm not sure whether is it you or me. I mean,
Yeah, there is no voice at all. Actually,
Yes, yes. One second,
this
boss.
was networking.
Okay, now it is it fine.
yeah,
Hey,
Venkat. Yeah, yeah,
now it is
yeah.
fine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Better.
Getting everything.
Yeah, better.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me know, guys,
Thanks.
when some swings in network. Yeah. So the example is that the business asked that they can keep on. They always have a lot of plans that what if I close my 4 pumps and add a new big pump, or what if I something like that. So basically it requires a lot of master data change, and the key thing is they want to see the impact of it on their entire supply planning results. Okay, so how much of the stock has to be, how much of the water has to be moved, and how the production would be impacted, because a big pipe is bringing in a lot of water at once. So how to deal all that. So that was the kind of a requirement that we got. So you cannot change your base version, because base version is the one, like let's say that we configured in such a way that base version is the one that is connected to the S4 system. So usually base versions are the ones that connects to or integrates to any other system, because that will have the base plan. So what we proposed is we created a different version just to play around. So that version will have its own master data. So this could be one version one. Okay, and this is like this is base version, and this is their network plan version. I think this is the name that we gave, network planning version. So here in base version, the master data can have different values in base version, and network plan can have a different version. I mean, that network plan can have different entries. So in base version, you can have only 100 transportation lanes, but network plan can have only 90 transportation lanes. So you run your optimizer network plan, you get a different result, because you have a limited transportation lanes, and but the capacity of the transportation lane, that pipe is so big, you have different results. So and then do your planning, and then once you're done with that, do a copy between this version to this version, so the data gets copied. Okay, and yeah, so you use a version to play around, and conduct your meetings and take a decision, like all kinds of strategic decisions that you can put forth, that if I go with 90 transportation lanes, 90 pipes, I have this is my stress on my location, my production, blah blah blah. If I go with another transportation lane, what would be the impact? So all that you create a separate version, so that planners can play around. And the versions can also come in handy when you actually do an development. So what happens is that, so let's say there is there is a demand planning team. They do their configuration, they create their forecast key figures. There is a supply planning team, they are worried about the supply planning results and etc etc. Sometimes when you load a product, obviously the client related products and locations and customers and stuff, and you put some data that is like that gets collides with the demand planning team, and you don't know who's changing what and etc etc, and then you have to do a lot of demos and build some prototypes and want to have your own data etc. So even in those cases you can create another version just in your development planning area, so that your development version, like your version can have its own data and its own key figures, and no one will disturb it. So you guys will work on it, but every version will feed onto the same configuration. That's a whole thing, right? So here you see this version is feeding onto this entire. So this chunk of configuration that you did, and also like this, so the version feeds on this. The version cannot have its own thing. Like if you say my final available capacity key figure, and then if you say that this is at a maintenance job level, and you say that maintenance job master data also has something like maintenance job technician name, uh, version feeds on this. So version cannot have its own key figure, like final available revised final available capacity, or network plan, the X and Y and Z. So not possible. Uh, Only thing possible is the data that you can have. You can have a different data set. You getting?
So in versions, we'll have the same master data as well as the key figures, right? It's the exact copy of the base version, right? The
The
difference
config.
is,
The config.
yeah,
Hmm.
config and master data will be same, right? Only difference is the data, actually, the values of the key figures, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Key figures and also the master data.
Master data. Okay, okay.
Okay. So yeah. So like it, as I told you, like um, um, yeah, like base version can have 100 transportation lanes, upside version can have only 90 transportation lanes, something like that. So
Mhm.
I created a different version. Right now we'll see, first see how versions will talk to each other. The second thing is that how the what the version that I created, some aggregated planning. Yeah, so there you will see how many more maintenance activities can I maintain inside that
Uh,
aggregated
Venkat,
planning version, and
just
then do planning. Yeah, yeah.
just one confusion. So the base versions, sorry, this new version, downside or upside versions,
Mm.
master data would be subset of base versions master data, correct?
It need not be. You can create your own stuff.
Okay, and then you copy back to base version. It will get
Yes,
copied.
yes, 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 yes. If you want, you
Okay.
can do that.
Okay. So it means in downside version, I can create a new product altogether, and then when the results looks okay, I will copy back that copy back to the base version, right? The new product.
Um, yeah, but you want, I mean, you don't want to do that, obviously. I mean, you will follow a basic standard disciplined approach that first it has to be notified to the master data governance team, and then let it covered and created in S4 or ERP, run an
Correct.
interface, let that interface bring etc. So yeah, but if it is just an IBP related stuff, yeah, you can very well go into it. And
Yeah,
if,
yeah.
if you
But
if you don't want to send that to any other place, then yes, fine. I mean, IBP can have its own thing, but if some clients wants to have some kind of a consistency across their system, so they don't want to see anything alien inside the kind of IBP system itself. But yes, you can very well create a product ID and then copy it and do your stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah. That's what I wanted to know. I mean that flexibility is there, right? But the process wise, yeah,
Mhm.
they would not be allowed to do, but the
But yes,
flexibility.
flexibility is there. Yes, exactly. And also you can copy the key figure data and stuff. Like for example, if you say key figure xyz is equal to key figure x plus key figure y plus key figure z. So in the base version, so you can have 10, 10, 10. So the key figure xyz becomes 30. But in your upside, In your upside, you can have a different values altogether. So for the same key figure XYZ, you can have a different value of 90. Okay. Hmm. Let's see whether. And one more thing, guys, you can have only, like, SAP says it's maximum 5 versions. Don't go more than that because it would put a tremendous load on your entire performance, because you're creating a different data set altogether, right? So for every element that you have created, for all the attributes and master data and planning levels and time profiles and key figures and this and that, you're creating a different table for that version. So yeah, lot huge load. See, now our planning area will take a lot of time during activation. So earlier it used to take almost like 9-10 minutes, but now it is taking more than that because I said it's a version specific, and I also said every key figure is a version specific key figure. So let's see. So how much time will it take? It started on 7:52 our time, and yeah, let's see. So, and again, what's the sequence? So first sequence is identify the version and checkbox for version specific master data. Third is select the key figures that are valid for this version. Okay, so the key figures will not auto extend. So just like the way we go and extend an attribute to a master data to a planning level, we have to come and pick up your key figure and then make that this is a version specific key figure. So this is the sequence that we have to follow.
So we don't have any version copy functionality.
Yeah, we have. So that's how we copy data between two versions. So yeah, I think it's getting done. And while the activation is going on, you cannot access your system. This is the planning area. Now we'll get another message here. Oh, I think the planning area got active.
So Venkat, this
Yes, boss.
so while activation you said right, we cannot access the system. So that is across the users.
Yeah, across the users. No one can, um, access this planning area.
And what is the standard process like, or like usually working example like in? like when the planning area is getting activated, how do the users across globe getting informed?
So yeah, I got it. So I think in your production, you won't activate anything in production. You just transport your your planning area, so that there will not be any activation happening. But during the QA and during the development stuff, so we dedicate a particular time that where the planning area activation has to happen. So and then we'll inform everyone that we're going to activate this by this particular time, and then we set it. So like once in like 3 days or something. So whatever change that the team has to do, let's say they have to create a new key figure, change the calculations, etc. So we'll advise them to do that in a different sandbox system. Like we'll create some kind of a dev planning area. So once they know that their config changes, or they're confident about their changes, and they give the desired results, we open up a slot that okay, now you go and do the changes quickly, save it, do a check, and like we usually do it at the Indian times, obviously the offshore times, so we don't want to disturb our on-site folks. So we do it some Indian time, and then it will get active. We'll send an email that it got active. Then people can access it, so there won't be any disruption from. So getting right. So yeah. So now see in the master data workbook, I go. I'll say maintenance activity.
Yeah, Venkat, on that note, actually, I just wanted to add something. So
Mhm.
even though you move planning area from one system to production, you still need a downtime, right? Because the there may be users are accessing the same planning area, which is basically we are moving it to production, right? So I think we need a quiet time in the system when we move planning area to production.
Yeah, that would always be there, and that would be done during offshore time. Yes,
Yep.
that will do. So you see, whenever you select a master data maintenance activity, by default under the version, the base version is selected. So and also the very first column, if you remember, anything that you open, be it a key figure change or a master data change, there's always this base version coming in. So now I'll master data workbook. I'll go to new sheet. I'll say maintenance. Where is this maintenance? See aggregate planning. This is coming in here. It says no data form because this version doesn't have anything. Now we have to do some data sharing between this version and that version. So there's a separate group here which is dedicated for this activity. So manage, you want to do manage versions. You want to copy the versions from base version to aggregated planning. Any filter, any particular family, no filter. Master data, all master data. Key figures, all key figures. And also, and like you can give a time frame also. Like if you're copying key figures, you can say that this should only do from January 1st till this month. And also there are create a filter and use it for only a particular family, etc., etc. Click on next. Give a reason why you're doing a copy between the versions. Copy. Job merge for planning operator, planning area. This created from MS Excel. So go to the versions. Click on status. Oh, it got failed. Great. It is saying the snapshot key figures are not allowed. Yeah, the snapshot key figures you cannot create separate version. So I have selected all. I should have been very picky. Hmm. Okay, fine. We'll do a selective copy. So why to copy base version aggregate planning? I'll say maintenance job ID. Three maintenance activities. Master data are all. Master data doesn't matter. Hmm. Do we have mjob? I should have given a standard available capacity job start, minimum capacity required. Now, where is our final available capacity? Yes. So uh, so why final available capacity is not coming? Because we wrote a calculation for it, right? Final available capacity, if the job start is 1, then copy the job duration, etc., etc. So the calculation you cannot copy because calculations will be based on the values that are there in that version. So you remember kf xyz is x plus y plus z. X plus xyz have values of 10 and becomes 30 in base version. If you have values of 30, 30, 30, the value becomes 90 in that specific version. So you cannot actually copy this thing. So any of the key figures that we can think of, standard, job duration, start, I think this would do. So let me do a copy.
But Venkat, what if you really required this final available capacity key figure in different version? Because that was the uh, even though it was a calculated one, but of course, it provides some information to the planners also, right?
Yeah, so the moment like it's finished, so that's what I'm doing. So you see, for example, there is a standard that is 168 hours, and then you were saying job start, whether maintenance activity is happening or not, you said 1. So capacity based on that duration that you mentioned, the capacity that consumes is 100, let's say, and then there is a final. So this is 168 minus 100, there is 68 is your final available capacity. So this all things is in base version now. So now if you copy this and this and this onto the upside version, or like the version that you created, then automatically the calculation will still happen and you will still see a value of 68, right? So this is base version. And now, yeah, this is, we created something called as a aggregate planning. So now what I just did, I just only copied these two, and this is a calculation happening. System do a calculation of 100 here, and then system would do 68 here. Anyway, we'll get these values. If I go and change this to like 200, then I'll get here the 100. I changed 200 in aggregate planning version, not in the base version. So we'll
So you
see
mean to
that.
say,
Hmm.
this
Yes,
final available key figure will be there in aggregate planning version?
exactly. Exactly. That's what I'm saying. It's a
Okay, okay,
calculated. It gives a calculated value based on the values that are there in that specific version.
okay, got it, got it.
So now this going back and then going edit. You see aggregate planning. So all stuff are coming in naturally. So I'll bring up my maintenance plan template that I have created. So go to the final plan. So this is it. So now I'll say go to the edit view. I just want what is my standard and what is my final available. So see on the top here, there is something called as a version. We'll see the scenarios. We'll talk about scenarios tomorrow. Versions by default base version selected. I'll also say, also want to say aggregate planning. So the planning scope, I also give aggregate planning. Okay. So now a new column gets created. Ah, shit. Let me go and change this formatting thing. Hmm. Okay, didn't I copy the standard available capacity? What did I copy it? Okay, anyway, so you can see here this plant 101 manual assembler standard available capacity. It has two values. I mean, it can have two row items. One is base version 168 you have maintained already, and aggregate planning is this. So final available capacity, the calculation still worked, and it showed -11 because there is no standard available capacity that you maintained for the aggregate planning. You guys are following me? Now I'm maintaining the values only in the aggregate planning. Hmm. Let me rerun this standard available versions. I think I have copied it, but anyway, let me give it another try. Base, aggregate, key figure, standard available capacity. I think this I have selected. Okay, anyway, status in process. It's finished. Okay, so yeah, so now you can see that this base version value is copied to upside aggregate planning. You guys are there with me?
Yeah, yeah, Venkat.
So yeah, so now I'll do one thing. So to let me just completely plan and dedicate it only in the aggregate planning. I'll take a copy of it. Aggregate version, and this is the base version. So here in the aggregate version, the base version, I make it as a base version. So base version will not list another column for it that this is a base version, but other versions you want to have you know what just happened. So there, where is this aggregate version? Why it is flipping to a so yeah, so this is your data set for aggregated planning. So now here I'll go and change it to 200 or maybe 2000. So here I'll make it to 1000. So I can change the data in my up standard available capacity in the aggregate planning 2000. The final becomes 1989. If I come here, if I refresh it, nothing happens in base version. Why? You see the version is coming in. Let me go and edit. So yeah, base version is still 168, but whereas in here, I think I see as I copied the sheet, so it is whatever changes I'm making there, it is coming in here. But anyway, so you guys understood, right? So you can have your own data set for your upside version, and then you can do your planning. So let me open up and create a new maintenance activity just for my upside. See, now I'm creating a separate maintenance job only in the aggregate planning, and I'm also maintaining the duration that it takes. Say plumbing services, and in NA plant 101 on manual assembler. So I'll say that it takes 50 hours, and I'll say this is high, saving it. Okay, so now if I verify the base version, we will not see that. Maintenance activity. It is still 3 services that you maintain, because base version has a different master data, aggregate planning version has a different master data. So this is what I'm saying, that you can have the version can have its own master data and its own planning data, its own key figure data, and you can do whatever you want. So I created a new this thing called as a thing there. Come here, edit view. Let me just filter down and keep our planning area. Nice. So location ID. Let's just focus only on NA plan 101, and then resource ID is maintenance job, manual assembler, right? Okay, so it just got filtered. Go to upside version. So we're base version. So you need to go and pick up the aggregate version. So that's why that whatever plumbing is not coming in. You see, now the plumbing services also is coming in. Now if I go and say uh, start one. One second. So if I go to this version and yeah, it is there, right? So let me also copy the same here, so that the filters, I'm copying the filter. So this filter, I'll copy it. I told you how to copy. Click on this. What settings you want to copy? I want to copy filters from maintenance plan to aggregated plan. Copy. Okay. So yeah, standard is 2000. Available is this thing. Let's keep it 200. Why 2000? So we have 189 is available. Now I'm adding more maintenance activities. Saving it. So you see the final available became 139, 50, and then whatever value that I've maintained in here. So yeah, location ID and manual assembler and stuff. So this is how you do a separate plan, and then in your version, and then you copy data from here and there. So now I'll go into the manage version. Now I'll say from aggregate planning to the base version. I'll select all, then And there's no need to select all, but anyway, I'm just copying it. You can see how quick these stuff are, even though I have selected the whole bunch of master data. And yeah, I know that we don't have that much of data inside all those master data, but still it's comparatively quicker. It's finished. So now if I go to my maintenance activity in the base version, I'll see the plumbing coming in. See, inside this version plumbing, you have all this. So also the key figure data. So instead of aggregate, I say base. See, it showed me the same value. So because plumbing services, you see, this is inside the base version. So that's it about the version, folks. So I mean, now you can think of like what all we can do it. Some theory. Now I think this makes more sense to you guys, right? To manage alternate plans.
Yeah.
And this is a configurable element, so it is part of the configuration, so everyone can access it. So this is not just highlight on, I'm highlighting it because tomorrow when we see scenarios, we'll see something else. So this is a configurable element. Everyone who is accessing this planning area test conf 2, they'll see these multiple versions, and they all can access this multiple versions. They can maintain different data in that version and can see the data using all key figures or subset. Usually it is subset. Why? Because you will
And
create. Yes, boss.
yeah, so the prerequisite basically to select key figures for the specific version first, right?
Yes. So it depends upon like what is the priority. I mean, what is the purpose of this version? So and obviously, if it is just a generic version that okay, I'll have generic alternate plans, one pessimistic, one optimistic, etc., then that's fine. But usually they create versions for specific use cases, like okay, for my maintenance activity, I'll create this version so that I'll do a lot of simulations. I'll do a lot of changes in my maintenance plan. Then obviously you'll bring only those maintenance related key figures. There's no point of bringing statistical forecast and alpha and beta and stuff, right? So yeah, that's why I'm
Correct.
saying a subset of key figures.
Correct. So before you started that copying the planning version, I mean the base version basically, I think you went to some configuration and you have checked the key figures whichever are version specific, right?
Eh, Yes, exactly. Yes, exactly. So I can be
And
choosy in
only
there, or I can I have selected all, but yes.
okay, and
Hmm.
whichever you have selected, only those will be copied, right? If I'm
Perfect. Yes,
okay,
exactly.
okay,
So if there are key figure X, Y, Z, and if you say that X and Y are version, so then for these two only you can maintain multiple versions, multiple data points, but not for Z.
okay, and that Z1 will not get copied also, right?
Exactly.
Okay.
So using all or a subset of key figures, versions can contain references to base version key figures so that these can be used in calculation within the version. So like you say that X, Y, Z is equal to X plus Y plus Z. Like, come on, why to have all these X and Y's and Z? So let's say demand quantity, unit price, um, uh, revenue. Demand quantity is 100, and this is $5. This becomes 100 into 5, right? Classic thing. So this is in the base version. So now you thought like I'll have upside version where I'll make the optimal plan. So it's not 100, maybe I'll do 150. But unit price remains the same because unit price is not a version specific key figure. System would still do the calculation and give you 750. That's what it is saying there. Okay, so it is saying that uh, in a key figure calculation, if there are three key figures x and y and z, all those three need not be part of a version thing. So z is equal to x plus y. So out of that x plus y, only x could be a version specific thing. Okay, y is not a version specific. So y is having only one version, that is base version. But system will still do the math and then give you the value for key figure z. Version can have version specific master data. We have seen this. That do not have version specific must shades the master data with the base version. And it's not mandatory that you have to create a version specific master data. So you can just create a version only for key figures and only for a selective key figures, and that would reuse the data that is there in the base version. Okay, you can copy key figures master datas where applicable between versions. This is there. And also there is another thing called delete the data. So manage, so delete, and it will ask what you want to delete. I'll say from the base version, the create aggregate version, and then you say that witness job id is plumbing, and you're deleting it. Okay, it is saying at least select one key figure. So I'll select all three. It's finished. Go to edit view. I'll bring up that aggregate planning version. Start period is still there because you haven't selected the start period there. Plumber source is already there. Maybe I haven't selected the master data. I think I should have selected, or I have selected the master data also. Like, yeah, whatever. So like you can manage your versions. You can copy and then delete in the status. Check the status of the jobs that you have set, and then also you can schedule a particular version copy, like at a particular time. Okay, and the other topic for today is the fixing overtime, right? I think we have fixed for overtime.
I see. So there are two manage buttons. What is that?
Yeah, one is managing scenarios, another is manage versions. Okay, just read the theory. Initialize, reinitialize, promote, or copy version data from and to the base version or another version. Basically two operations, copy or delete. And whereas this manage is publish, delete, reset, or duplicate scenario. So tomorrow we'll see what is a scenario. So yeah, so manage and manage is also there here, manage master data. Okay, so now let me open our overtime. Change it to base. Overtime. This is also base. I'll say here month. There's okay. I kept a filter like but anyway, so I kept a filter. This is 50, 50, 50. So now here, like go here, and I'll say this is 100, and then I'll say right click, fix this cell. Like the standard APO functionality. Give 100 and then lock it. So now no one can change it. I mean, if other planner is viewing it, he cannot change this value of 100. So now let me go to here. So it is saying that the aggregated is value is 300, but one value is fixed. It is saying that 100 is fixed, and you can see that the circle is half filled. That means in July there are so many time buckets. I'm showing an aggregated value that is 300, but out of that some value is fixed. So I'll say I don't care, but on an aggregated level I'll give 1000. So I'm saying in July month, I'll do overtime of 1000 hours on this manual assembler for plan 101. So I'll come here. See, all other stuff got changed, but not our week 2 to 9. So if I still sum this up, it still be 1000 because I entered an aggregated value of 1000 hours for the month of July on manual assembler. But system changed the detail level. It changed all the weeks, but not the week of 29th week of 2019 because that is already been fixed with 100. So that's a use with the fixing, and to achieve fixing you have to specify. I think still taking. See this enable planning nodes. This you have to. Oh, sorry, not enable planning nodes. Enable fixing. So you checkbox that you can fix your key figure values. So the planner can go and you can fix it, and he can also create a note that I'm fixing it, blah blah blah. If you also configure um, enable planning nodes, you see just below to it there is enable planning nodes. Yeah, that's it. That's about the two functionalities today, versions, and tomorrow we'll see scenarios, and then we'll see the difference also. And now there's something called as a simulate also. So the three stuff, yeah, we'll see it tomorrow. Okay, tomorrow I think there might not be any session. We'll catch up on. You guys want a session tomorrow?
No, Venkat.
Sorry.
I mean, I guess, no. I
Okay,
have some
cool, great
plans.
then. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I know weekend. Yes. Yeah, we'll take a break, and then I think we'll spend another 2-3 days on the configuration part, and then we'll start with our modules. Now we'll go to after 3 days. We'll go to the demand planning module and supply planning module and inventory optimization, sales and operations, etc. Control door we have already covered all those graphs and dashboards and alerts and stuff. Yeah, so giving you a heads up. Okay, thanks guys, we'll catch up. And yeah, just a small thing, Monday I will not be available. Monday I'm traveling, personal this thing. So yeah, Tuesday we'll catch up.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay,
Thanks.
yeah, thanks guys, yeah, bye.